All right, welcome back, Tombs. It's your man, Maz the Machine, in the house again. Just finished a round of Tekken 8 with the boys. Got my ass kicked a couple times, but hey, it's all about that camaraderie, right? So they were telling me that my video sound is too low. So if you guys are out there in YouTube land and you come across my video, thank you for watching. Appreciate that. But if there's something wrong with the video, please let me know that I'm being a noob with this and I need to step my game up. So they let me know it sounds like it's good here. I'm using OBS to go ahead and broadcast. Sounds like it's good. I got the levels bouncing. So yeah, it should be fine. Other than that, I don't know what's up, but y'all will let me know. Today, I wanted to react to a couple of videos regarding Sony's respond to the backlash regarding no discs. So let's see what Sony has to say. There's a couple of sources that I like to use, and one of these dudes is Mighty Keith. This dude is funny as hell. I love his videos. He's got great content. So let's go ahead and check out what he's talking about and his reaction to the Sony backlash response.
Been a few weeks. How are we going to respond to this backlash about stopping physical media?
Why don't we just pretend we haven't seen the complaints?
Sir, we can't even make a post on Twitter without it getting ratioed or community noted. What? And it's not just PlayStation's main account. It's all PlayStation affiliate accounts as well. I made a simple post about my wife giving birth. They said my daughter was a digital copy.
That doesn't make any sense.
Sir, it doesn't have to make sense. It got 50,000 likes. That means I lost.
Well, guess what? All right, they need to get over it before 2028 so I can sell my $2,000 PS6.
Yeah, because I was looking through the books and we're trying to...
Dollars.
What?
What time is the earning call, by the way?
In 5 minutes, sir. Did you say $2,000?
Okay, well, I don't know. If they bring up the backlash during the call...
That's a funny little coincidence. I didn't mean to time it like that, but we had the same reaction. I'm sure he built it that way, though. That's funny, though.
Let's just tell them the truth.
And the truth is that we heard our audience, right? That we heard their complaints and we decided to reverse this whole no physical media for the betterment of our loyal customers who've loved us and provided for us all these years, right? That's the truth.
Hell no.
If we continue to sell physical, how the hell are we going to control the market? Huh?
How are we gonna stop $1 from buying the game, beating it, and then giving the game to another $sign to play it for free?
Did you just replace the terms human being, customer, person with $sign?
How mad would you be if I said yes? If these boys start acting up, I need them to know I could take all their games at any moment. Break terms of service, I break into your console and take your shit.
This is ridiculous, sir. They're never gonna stop protesting. Protest? What protest?
I haven't been financially impacted yet. we just dropped Black Ops 1 and 2 digitally, and they did crazy numbers. I love casuals.
These type of things don't just happen overnight, man. Bad decisions leads to bad press, leads to angry customers. And that keeps happening over months and years. Eventually, we're just gonna lose the brand love that we've crafted for the past 30 plus years.
Is there any way, instead of admitting our fault, we can shift the focus to the fault of our competitors?
It's a cycle with all these companies, man. Xbox screws up, and then we screw up. And then Xbox screws up, and then we screw up.
Right.
And what about Nintendo?
This company's ran by children.
Google Gaga, nigga.
Completely lost touch of what made us who we are. The earning call is about to begin. Please don't say anything that's gonna make people hate us. Please.
Or that's just crazy.
Anyway, I've been following this dude for a minute. When it comes to gaming news, he's right on point. It is funny, but it's right on point. So make sure you go ahead and follow him, man. Check out his channel. It's right there, Mighty Keith. It's a great channel. Like I said, a lot of good information and whatnot. Another video I wanted to react to regarding Sony's reaction to the backlash is Digital Foundry. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there in Gamerland know who Digital Foundry is, but just in case you didn't know, they are definitely one of the top dogs in the industry when it comes to games, how games run on platforms, how the game development is going, frame rates, all that stuff, right? So they have a video up. Digital Foundry Q&A. Sony finally responds to the end of disc backlash, and it's not good news. So let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see what we got going here, man. Like I said, even myself as a fan of Sony, I'm just not liking what they're up to. What the hell? Not display capture. Come on, man. See, I'm moving out. I'm moving out. There we go.
Hello there, and a warm welcome to the latest edition of the DF Direct Q&A show. And I bring you happy news. Sony has actually responded to the outcry surrounding the end of physical media, and we're going to be talking about that in answer to the first couple of questions that we got. Joining me to discuss that and several other things. First of all, John Linneman, hello.
Hey, Rich. It's always good to be joined by the miggity Mac Daddy himself, which is you.
Really? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Also joining us, Oliver Mackenzie. Hello.
Yes, I'm not sure I quite share John's enthusiasm on this fun Monday morning, but I like being on, and I'm sure it should be a good show.
So it's a long show. It's like 60 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip. They don't, oh, they do have sections. So I want to get to the sections that discuss this directly. All right, so let's go ahead and start off here.
See the data they're using to make their decisions, and much less whether they're interpreting it reasonably. But I do wonder whether the likes of us in the enthusiast community are really a very small part of the pie these days. Could it be that our concerns around ownership and internet's requirements really don't feature for the vast majority of consumers who typically play PlayStation games these days? Put another way, could it be that for those who don't choose a digital purchase in the first place, code in a box is as good as disc in the box for the vast majority of them who just want to play the game? Thanks and best wishes for the week! Exclamation.
Personally, my stance on that is code in the box is not as good as a disc. If I'm going to be buying physical media and I'm getting a cover for a game and it comes with just the code in it, nah, nigga, I want the disc. I want the disc. Otherwise, I would have just bought digital and not, fussed with it. But again, ordered Wolverine on digital and disc, and that just goes back to my comic book collecting days. I want the physical copy of that game, as I grew up collecting the comics. So.
Point. Well, certainly, I suspect what Sony would like to believe. Some guy person in Sony's latest earnings, they doubled down on ditching the discs, but there are also some very interesting numbers to prove that point. 0.781 billion in physical sales, 6.5 billion in digital game sales, and a staggering 8.4 billion in in-game purchases. Here's the rub, though. If Sony prevents a marketplace for games outside of its own store, a lot of governments will force third-party stores as alternative digital storefronts. If Steam comes in and promises purchases that transfer across to PC, a substantial percentage of those DLC purchases might go through Steam instead of the PlayStation Store. Is Sony potentially winning the battle but losing the war in the long run here? Keeping disc sales gives the illusion of a competitive marketplace, but shutting that down opens them up for a far more costly legal fight than it would be just to keep the small amount of discs flowing.
That's another thing too, is people are suing Sony, one, over digital games and digital, or their accounts being frozen, and then two, this whole thing with the discs, man. The way we look at it, if there's any Sony executives actually watch this video or it comes across their desk, the way we look at it is, Sony, bro, you guys are the big dogs. You're not going to hurt by producing discs. You can't tell us that you producing discs, just in case people want to order and buy discs, is going to hurt your bottom line. It just isn't. PlayStation is not the whole 80-90% of your income, Sony. You have other items. You've got electronics. Come on, just the electronics by itself, even if PlayStation were to go under and go belly up, you ain't gonna be hurting. So I don't understand why you can't just say, hey, we're going the way of digital for the most part, because that's the way technology is going. But for those of you that are interested in collecting discs here and there, we have that option for you as well. If you want to buy Wolverine both digitally and disc, you can order both here and here on our PlayStation Store. I think a lot of people would go for that. I think a lot of gamers would understand that. But from where we're sitting right now, it seems like you gotten too big for your britches, man. And you haven't learned from Xbox with them going Xbox is everything is an Xbox, and then people the decline in sales on Xbox hardware. You're not learning from that. So at some point, people will walk away. And again, I'm going to say this: I am an admitted Sony fan. I've been since Sony PS1. My mass majority of my library is PlayStation, but I'm not going to continue to just fork out my hard-earned cash. And you guys are sitting there pissing on my head, telling me it's rain. Come on, man. Be real about it, Sony. Stop tripping. Anyway, back to the video.
I'm going to come to you first on this one, Oliver, because it's sort of like it's difficult to argue with a lot of these points. We're kind of moving into Wild West frontier territory here because we kind of don't know what's going to happen when all of this rolls out. But I think that's telling in itself because I don't think Sony are prepared, and I don't think the policies that are in place for the PlayStation Store are robust enough to withstand, for example, third EU policy scrutiny, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I did look into this a while ago for an unrelated thing, but I looked into this a while ago. And under the logic of the Digital Markets Act, I think in the EU, basically, there are some criteria that they sketched out. And when they were sketching out those criteria, they specifically excluded, like it was, they were thinking of these console stores when they were drafting the criteria. And the criteria ended up applying mostly to Android and iPhones, obviously.
What?
But they ended up excluding the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Nintendo Store. In the particulars, the market size, I believe, is not large enough for it to fall under the Digital Markets Act in terms of monthly active engaged EU users. And then also, I think there probably aren't enough discrete EU businesses that are affected, although that's more of a technicality because there aren't actually that many businesses involved in game publishing relative to like mobile app publishing, right? Which is much more of a sole proprietor kind of small firm kind of thing. So yeah, I think at the moment, at least when you look at both the considerations that went into the DMA drafting and the specific criteria of the DMA drafting, consoles are not really in that bucket of concerns that the EU has. So maybe this does put it more into that bucket where you're saying, okay, we're actually going to foreclose the physical side of things. Maybe now this does become more of an issue.
Let's move on.
So DMA, Digital Marketing Authority, I believe. So it's just going back to game ownership. Digital, do you really own it or do you just own the license, et cetera, et cetera? In my belief, correct me if I'm wrong, fight me in the comments. If you own the license, then you own the game. Even if Sony were to say, hey, for whatever reason, right, they're going to shut down your account. Why? Unless you've done something egregious where you're online, you're talking shit and you're spreading hate speech and all that, of course they have the right to shut down your account. But if there's no real reason, then why would your licenses be revoked? You see what I mean? So, I mean, you can go the long route and say, hey, man, they can't just cut your license off and you'll end up suing them. They've been sued successfully by a gamer in Brazil. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Microsoft. They were sued successfully by a gamer in Brazil who got his account locked and they had to give it back. Not only that, and give him some money. So, I mean, you can go that route. At some point, these companies can't just do whatever the fuck they want to do. They have to abide by some type of laws. So that's what the DMA discussion was about.
A question here we got from Raging Whiskey. What might be the tech and quote unquote secret source feature sets that will be there for the PlayStation 6/Helix releases that will set them out as quote unquote justifying to the public at large consumer base a potential $1,000 price point?
So, boom. I'm sorry I keep stopping the video. I'm going to let it go. But that's the point with PS6 Project Helix. So Helix, we know, is about to be released as basically a computer with an Xbox branding on it. Sort of like the Steam machine was supposed to be, but the specs on that don't justify the $1,000 price point. Now, if you come with Project Helix or PS6, it's a slash PC, and the specs far outrank your normal run of the mill everyday PC, and they're just beasts of machines, then yes, I can understand the $1,000 price point. But again, don't come out with Project Helix or PS6 5 years after PS6 is developed. I mean, don't come out with PS7. Let that shit have a long shelf life. They're supposed to. Consoles are supposed to be at least 7 to 10 years. I've gotten at least 7 to 10 years out of my consoles. So I don't want it to be released. I pay the 1,000, and then you got to keep upgrading it every year. That's why I'm not into PC gaming. But sorry about that. I'm rambling.
Each generation has usually done something to distinguish whether 16-bit, 32-bit, CD-ROM, DVD, Blu-ray, internal drives, HDD, and now NVMe, advancing from SD to HD to 4K, mostly ish. When thinking about what comes next, can't help but think machine learning, inference, and squeezing more from less might be the result, making it seem like a lot to ask in the current climate. Thoughts? Yeah, it's an interesting question because there was also some comments attributed to Miyamoto recently saying, yeah, specs aren't really important. I mean, that's something Nintendo would say. But we kind of discussed this a couple of weeks ago about, the I wouldn't call it a crisis, but certainly a problem that the next generation consoles face, which is that they're going to be super expensive. And everything we know about the feature set that they're going to be providing is kind of like encroaching on what is currently a high-end PC feature set. And do people actually really want that? And I guess our takeaway at that point was, well, it's going to be down to Microsoft and Sony to make the case and make the software to justify it. Oliver, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't think there will be any particular secret sauce that appeals to customers broadly here. Because if you're thinking of the likely next-gen feature set, which is like better RT, some fancy features like neural texture compression, faster CPUs, etc., probably some new version of ray regeneration, technologies like that as part of the RDNA 5 feature set.
So here's the drawback when it comes to Digital Foundry. So everything that he's discussing right now means fuck all to the average gamer. If you're talking about somebody, some kid that's 15 years old and saying, hey, mom, pop, can you buy me this PS6 or this Project Helix Xbox? Man, we don't care about that. We don't say, oh, the RTX and the... It's just too much to think about. This is the reason why, again, consoles are so well valued while PC is still out there. If PC were all this and everybody took all these little details into account, then PC would be the reigning king. But it's not. It's between Xbox and console. People just want to get on and play games. Of course, now you get guys like myself who are nerdy, who's interrupting my kung fu. Hello. Anyway, Mickey. So, again, people just want to buy a system that plays games and enjoy it. Now, visually, when you look at it, does it look bomb? Hell yeah. You know, moving from PS4 to PS5 wasn't a great leap, but the more you played the 5, you see the advance in the technology barely. It's barely there. What you notice is the loading times. So from PS5 to PS6 or Project Helix Xbox, you're not going to see a huge visual difference. So me personally, fuck all about all the specs. You can give me the general specs. How much RAM does it have? How many teraflops? What is it supposed to be able to run? Right? Other than that, don't bother me with all the fucking RTX and all that other bullshit. I don't want to hear it. You know, I just want to know, does it play well? That's what people are forgetting. That's why consoles are still a thing.
And I'm sure we'll hit both consoles. Those are things that are like appealing to us as enthusiasts, but are they appealing to your average gamer? I feel like with PS5, you actually had a lot of different back of the envelope things, just like, you know, Series X as well, of course, where you're hitting 60 FPS, much faster load times, ray tracing for the first time, all these nice features that are old hat by the time we get to next gen consoles, unfortunately. And I do also look at PC right now and think about how the next gen consoles might look in that context, because I think what we saw last generation, or I guess this generation actually, was that a lot of the early titles looked a lot like the PC versions, right, that we would have seen a year or two prior to the launch of the PS5, because they had, enhanced graphical settings, they had higher resolutions, they had better frame rates. And I'm not really seeing anything in the PC side of things in the kind of general area of capability where PS6 would be, or even higher than that potentially, where you're actually seeing really meaningful improvements that I think would move the needle on a box beyond the enthusiast audience. There could be some things though, like I was thinking maybe some enhancements for older games, some automatic enhancements, maybe some smooth motion style frame generation that could be interesting. Some like automatic AI upscaling, like kind of similar to the enhanced image quality toggle for PS.
It would be like Gadzooks DF. My conclusion about poor poor PC performance as opposed to more widespread 60 FPS adoption on current gen is this.
Sorry about that.
More
Sorry,
devs are finding it easier to optimize for a fixed spec console, PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, etc., as opposed to more open-ended spec PC that's forever changing with a zillion hardware configs to account for. As Tom pointed out in a past video, which I can't remember which it was, and I paraphrase, after a long, hard day, you don't want to have to fiddle with game settings for hours / troubleshoot just to get your game to work. Games generally just work on consoles and perform relatively well without any of the hassle.
That was my point. That's my point. You don't want to fiddle and faddle with the PC specs and the settings and all that. You just want to put the game in, boot it up, and let's go.
I seriously lament the amount of trouble I'd have to go through just to get PSVR 2 support for F1 24 25 on PC, whereas on PS5 it would just work if they'd implement it.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's
So,
something to be said about that. And actually going back to that investment call that
right. So he's going to go into that. So let me reiterate what I was saying. When it comes to gaming, like I said, dude, I don't want to fiddle and faddle with all the goddamn specs of the PC. Do I have a gaming PC? I do. I have an Xbox, I have a PS5, I have all platforms. Why? Not because the companies asked me to buy them or convinced me that they're the best consoles. No, it has to go back to me being a kid, being broke as hell, and deciding when I grow up, I'm going to have all the games that I want to play. So that's my point with you guys, with the general audience out there. Whether you're playing on PS5, you're playing on Xbox, you're playing on PC, who gives a fuck all what the platform is? As long as you realize that at the end of the day, PC, Xbox, Sony PlayStation don't give a fuck about you. All you have to do is decide where you want to spend your money and where you feel best. Get the best bang for buck. Bang for buck, bang for buck, bang for buck. That's all you need to keep your mind on. Now, when it comes to Sony and the no disc thing, if you weren't paying attention for the last 10, 15 years, music has gone digital. There's no such thing as CDs and cassettes, records. That's all old, obsolete technology. Movies have gone streaming. It's all digital. You have Netflix accounts, you have Prime accounts, you're streaming movies. You should have seen this coming for the video game industry. The only difference being that Sony and Xbox should take into account that games need to be preserved. We can't have a situation where you on Netflix you have so many movies, but then at the end of the month this movie's leaving, this movie's leaving. No, that's why I let go of my Netflix account. I'd rather just source my movies and TVs somewhere else. But Sony and Xbox need to take into account if it's all digital, there will be piracy. You cannot stop gamers from doing what gamers want to do. And if we need to preserve the games a different way because you're not playing ball, then one, you're going to stop selling as many units as you do. There's still going to be those out there that'll simp for you, yes, but you're going to go downhill at some point. And Sony should be looking at Xbox and learning from that example. Again, I'm a Sony fan. I'm an Xbox fan. I'm a PC fan. But again, my advice to you guys, play where you want to play. Don't let these corporations just shove shit down your face and you have no choice about it. That's just not the way it is. But until then, until the next video, I appreciate you tuning in. If the sound's not there, fight me in the comments. Tell me I'm a noob and an idiot and I need to figure out OBS. And until then, GG's, good games. I'll see you next time.